Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Your host, Scott Henderson, and my co-host is Dr. J. You know, Dr. J has been on this guest podcast before, and it was just absolutely thrilled to bring him on ours. So, Dr. J, who do we have coming on?
Hey, we have the hosts of the Joseph Graham Show. Joe is originally from Hartford, Michigan, although he currently lives in Phoenix, Arizona with his wife and three kids, and I think 5 million dogs or something like that. He has a degree in international business from the University of Phoenix. And one thing that is kind of at his heart is sales, and he's very, very good at that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Although he's passionate about helping people wake up to a life that they love living and having a way to fund that dream. So, welcome to the show, Joseph Graham.
Thanks for having me, Jason. And thank you for being on my show, too. You rock that as well. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks. That was good. So, let's talk a little bit. As Scott and I have talked to a lot of people, and we really have the conviction that when you can sell, you'll always be employed. How is it that you got into sales and started to like it?
Well, you're going to laugh. I fell into sales. I grew up in the Midwest. So in the Midwest, you're told get married young, get a job, work with that same company forever, like the American dream. Well, the company I worked for decided to downsize, and I didn't have a job, and I had a family and kids. So I literally took the only job I could, which was sales. I wasn't thinking I was going to do it for long. I was like, I just need to do this. And funny story, the first job I did, the first presentation I did, I literally told the guy I can't do this. Like I was so in my head. He's like, bro, I love Home Depot. I don't care. I'm buying either way. You can do the flip chart or not. I just need gutters. And I was like, oh. And fast forward, I started just realizing that the more people I could help, the more money I made, but it wasn't a takeaway, screw someone type of thing. And that's when I fell in love with sales because I changed it in my mindset of I'm just helping them solve a problem or a need and they pay me for it. And I get paid way better than going and working for a business or organization for a set amount of money that they get to determine how much I'm worth and what my value is. So that's kind of how I fell in love with sales and developing it. And then I've done so many different types of sales from in-home sales, like I mentioned, selling oil and gas investments to the top 5% of people in the world to B2B sales for Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies, which I've won multiple awards for. But all with the ability and thought process of I'm just going to help someone. I'm not going to screw them. I'm not going to take advantage of them. I'm not going to hard sell them. I've done hard sales in the past, but I tried that. I didn't like it. But when I found out that if I can just solve their problems and make it a win-win, we're both happy. There's no chargebacks. And I can go do crazy stuff that most people don't get to do. Like I've taken my wife to Hawaii, I think 5 times in the last 8 years. We've gone to Disney. We've done a bunch of other cool trips. So that's kind of how I came into sales, but it wasn't like I thought, oh, I want to be in sales. It was like I thought, oh, I was going to do this job, do the thing, because I grew up in the country. I grew up poor. I didn't have any entrepreneurial people in my family, so to speak. My parents were factory workers that ended up getting into managing storage facilities and apartment complexes for people. So I mean, they had a little bit of the entrepreneur, but not really. Like I said, I grew up in the country, just normal Midwest thing where everyone thinks sales is bad. But I've made a crap ton of money off it and helped a lot of people. So I don't know if that really answered your question. I know I went on a little circle there, but
Oh, I think it was a great answer, and that's kind of interesting that you fell into because there's some people that they have such a aversion to approaching someone that they don't know and with the intent of getting them to purchase something. And maybe it is part of the mindset that I'm approaching this person to first find out whether they have the problem that I can solve and then help them to solve that problem. What would you say would be the top 3 mistakes that salesmen make in the process?
sure. Yeah. They talk too much. They talk about themselves and their products and their services, and then they just try to hard sell. So reverse it. I talk less than I talk less in the conversation. Like literally, if I'm having a sales presentation, it's a conversation, I want my client to talk. I don't even talk about my company. I talk about their problems, their issues, their stuff, because people don't care about your company. They really don't. Unless your company can provide a service for them that meets their needs, they could care less. They don't care about that. And then the other thing a lot of salespeople do is that they try to overtalk or overcome what they perceive as the objection, when in reality it's not. Money is normally not the objection. Money is the cover for the real objection.
So
Say that last
you
part
talk.
again. Sorry, Scott.
Money is
Just
No,
say
go
that
ahead.
last part again. That needs to be repeated.
Yeah. Money is not the real objection normally. It's a cover for the objection. People will throw money out as a cover because they don't really want to tell you what their objection is, and they think they'll get you to run away if they say, well, I can't pay for it or I can't afford it.
So you've worked with low-end clients and high-end clients. How has the sales process changed between the two?
What's important to them? So low-end clients would be like, say someone's needing a roof or windows or something. It's a need sale. So I'm coming in with their needs, fixing it, meaning I know what that is right away. High-end clients typically don't need what you have. They want what you have. So it's a different mindset of painting a picture or an end state for them. One is set in motion of this is a need. Someone's going to do it. It's an easy sale. That's why we call it order taking in a lot of ways. They're going to buy windows from someone. Where if I'm selling an investment to someone, or I'm selling like even a dream or a vision or plan or coaching, which I do sales coaching, if I'm doing that to a high-end client, I need to put them into the end state of this is what's going to happen for you. This is where you want to be. Not selling them the how-to as much as selling them the dream of where I'm going to get them to. And then I give them the steps of the how-to to get there.
I gotcha. Would you say that one is tougher than the other?
Yes, because high end, you can't just come and drop price and do gimmicks and do sales. You have to actually really listen, connect with your client, and understand their needs, their wants, their desires, because you're dealing with someone that is successful. Now, I'm not trying to be mean here. Don't take this wrong. I treat everyone equally, but successful people have a different outlook on life, what they're looking to do, what they're trying to accomplish, than someone that's just going to go and buy a car. Like, say, you're selling cars or selling a service. It's a different approach mentally. You have to understand more of their world and make the value proposition be way more than just you can get it here for $100 less.
How give me an idea, paint a picture for us then. How is that world different to say a high net worth investor versus someone who doesn't have that? How do they perceive the world?
They perceive the world differently because they've gone through things and looked at things differently. So I'll use my oil and gas days. When I sold oil and gas investment, it was a high risk investment. You probably wouldn't make any money and you might get a tax write-off. Not a need. They just had extra money. But I had to convince them that investing in oil wells that may or may not hit would be in their best interest. Well, how I would do it was because they were conservative. Most people in oil and gas are going to be conservative, just following the thing, not being political, just I had to play the game with it. I would talk to them, and at that time, I think Hillary was running for office, and I was like, "Do you want to give Hillary your money, or do you want to get possibly 5-to-1 returns on investment with me, or do you at least want to have a 70% write-off instead of giving it to the government?" I reframed it to where it made sense for them to make that decision. If it was something else, like say fiber internet or something for like a big company, I would talk to them about the value of efficiency and time and saving it, because everyone can get it for you, but who's going to deliver it to you? What's going to be the benefit for your company, what you're doing? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
So you've been going along in sales a lot, and then you have kind of started to transition into kind of a coaching role, if you will, mentoring, coaching. What was it that's caused you to make that shift?
You can only get so many trips. You can only do so much fun stuff. What's the point? Like I can go make money anytime I want, but I wanted to help dads. This is why I started my podcast. I wanted to help dads wake up to a life they love living. I wanted to help them get to take their kids to Disney or their wives to Hawaii or Greece, whatever that is for them, or maybe get the car or the thing. Because when you look at it stats wise, when I started my podcast, 18% of individual income earners made 100,000 or more in individual income. 34% of couples did. That's sad statistics for people in the US, like, or in the world in general. And I just wanted to start changing that. And then I like seeing people get the light bulb moments, realizing that they did have the ability to make enough money to do things that they wanted to do. I'm not saying you have to be a multimillionaire. I'm not against it. Hey, I'm happy if people make a bunch of money, but a lot of people, 250,000 a year is significant. Like that's a huge change for them if they're making like 60 to 70, because money for me is a tool. And I want to help people get to the place where they're able to build a life that they love living, a life that they feel comfortable with waking up to.
I think I heard you say that you basically became a little bit bored with what you were doing for the fact that you were on top of it and winning award after award after award. And it got kind of boring to always go to the front of the room for a Fortune 550 or Fortune 100 company and get the top of award year after year after year. Am I putting words in your mouth? Or am I seeing right? You're nodding your head.
Yeah, no,
That's really
100%.
cool. That's really cool. And so take a minute, if you will, then, and describe the journey of, one of your clients that you've been proud of. Sort of tell us where they were before they started working with you, and then kind of their journey and how you were able to change their mindset. Because we've said it over and over again, Master Your Millions is all about, it starts with your mind and your team. And so you have to have the right mindset as you approach money. As you said a minute ago, money is a tool. Money is a scorecard. It's not what most people believe it is. It's like everything to some people, and it's not. It's simply something that we use to get certain things done, whether that's to serve someone else, to enjoy something, or whatever it is, right? So, give us kind of a journey of one of your favorite clients and tell us where they were before, like I said, and then talk through some of the mindsets.
Sure. So I had a buddy, his name's Don. He was doing a car detailing type of company. That's what he liked doing. And he's making like $1,000. So he's having to do that and bartend because he just wasn't making enough money to, support $1,000. You're not going to make enough on it. I did some coaching with him. We went through the process. His biggest fear was fear of rejection. So I had to reframe his mindset like, dude, if they say no to you, it's not like they're personally saying no to you. It's your product or your service. And it might just be a no now, not a no forever. And once he caught that concept of it wasn't about him, it was just him offering the service and not taking it personal. In the next 6 months, he made 80 grand on his detailing business. Like it quadrupled in it. Like in a 6 month period, making 80 grand instead of making 1,000 a month was huge because he was able to not be afraid to do the bid. So he bid on I think it was like a 10 or 12 fleet type of deal, which gave him, I think, like a $5,000 hit in one thing, which was huge for him at that time because, again, in business and sales, you have to grow from where you're at. And his mindset shift helped him to where he decided later on that he didn't like doing the car detailing. So now he's trying a new business, but he can still take the principles and stuff that he learned about not being afraid of the rejection or the no or taking it personal to move forward. That one it's just a cool one because it was like, I got to watch it over a 6 month period where he went from barely making any money to making significant money for car detailing, but he was like, I can't just keep doing this because it's a lot of work to do it by himself. Another gentleman, I'm just trying to think through my head here. Actually, in their company, they were insurance companies helping grandma. So pretty much Medicaid insurances. I helped their company increase by about 30%. I did a training for them. They had 37 employees. I divided it up, help them understand how to connect with grandma and overcome the objections. And they got, I think he said about a 25 to 30% jump in his business, which is significant because if you can get 20 to 35% more sales in your business, that's going to help bottom line revenue grow.
Is the sales that you're talking about solely person to person sales, or is it applicable to, say, internet marketing, newspaper marketing, or whatever other media we might be talking about?
Sales is applicable to anything you put it to. It just depends on the framing and who your ideal client is. What are you trying to do? What is their need or problem? And how do you solve it better than anyone else? If you can reframe that, you win. It's never really, I mentioned this earlier, it's never really about price. It's always about value. The thing that most people get caught up in is that they think if they just lower their price, you'll buy. Well, Jason, if I'm telling you I'm going to give you a Ferrari, but it looks like a Winnebago, you're not going to buy it because it's not giving you what you want. I could drop the price forever. No one cares. But if I'm selling you a Ferrari, but you wanted a red Ferrari and I have a black Ferrari, but now I know, oh, wait, it's just this one little thing I need to change. You want a paint job, so it's a black Ferrari, not a red Ferrari. Again, now I'm actually understanding what is your objection instead of it being, I'm trying to sell you something that I think you need instead of selling you something that you really want.
Okay. So then you said at the beginning of your one example that his hang up, or I can't remember what you said, his was the fear of rejection.
Mhm.
Was that, is that simply your go-to thing? Oh, everybody's got the fear of rejection, or how did you help him realize that hang up?
From asking him questions and talking to him why weren't you willing to ask for that deal? Why aren't you sharing your message more? Why aren't you talking to people more? What is it that's holding you back from being able to get more sales? And that's the objection he brought up. Other people have other things. What I do is I actually talk to the person and find out what is it that's actually blocking you in the sales process, because a lot of times we don't see our blind spots. We see what we think we're doing right. With him, it was a fear of rejection. With other people, sometimes they just talk too much. Like I'll listen to their calls and they're over presenting and talking about their business, their stuff, instead of finding out about the client. It's really, sales is all about relationships. And in a relationship, I term it like this. It's like dating. When you go out with a girl for the first time, and we're guys here talking, so I can say it this way, if you just talk about yourself and how great you are and don't get to know who she is and don't get to understand what she likes or anything, you're not going to close the deal. You're not getting a second date. You're not going anywhere. But if you go on that and you're interested in her and what she wants and what her dreams and goals are, now she's interested in you. Same thing with business. You have to go into it finding out what are their goals, what are their dreams, what are they wanting to accomplish, and then you can reverse engineer whatever you want to sell to them from that point. Here's my caveat. I refuse to sell you something you don't need. I will literally tell you I am not the right person and refer you to someone else before I will sell you something I don't think you need. Because integrity is one of my core values. And what ends up happening, and I've had managers get mad at me before, why didn't you sell them? It wasn't right for them. I referred them to someone else. You can't do that. Yes, I can. And then guess what? I got 3 or 4 referrals from that person because I took care of them. Because relationship and networking are huge in business and life and sales, and your reputation is based off of that. So always doing the right thing for the customer, even if it doesn't give you the paycheck right then, helps you in the future because now you have that integrity that they will trust you to bring in people that actually might need what you have to offer.
Wow. Okay. So, and let's now take it from a perspective as a dad. How has sales helped you in being a dad?
Learning to listen even when I didn't want to. So when I was younger, I had a friend of mine tell me to do this. And I listened and I was like, okay, cool. He goes, date your kids when they're young. I have 3 kids. Um, and so I would take them out when they were like 3 or 4. And I would go and I would take my phone and I would put it face down so that I would have to pay attention to them. And they would talk to me about Paw Patrol or Barbie or whatever it is that they were interested in. Well, now my 21-year-old daughter tells me everything. She told me about her first boyfriend that she liked. She told me about, like, we talk about everything, and it built that ability of communication. Now, with my son, he doesn't talk as much, but we go do things, but that's still, the principle still stays the same because boys and girls are different. But when it comes to sales and life, it taught me that when you put focus on people, when you really want to pay attention to what they're doing, because believe me, I wasn't into Paw Patrol, I wasn't into Barbies, but they were at the time. Then when the real issues come up, when the things that matter come up, they're going to talk to me on it. And in sales and business, I might listen to someone's stuff that I'm not as interested in. Like I have friends that love cars. Like I don't care about cars. Now you want to talk about going like on trips? I love trips. But I'll listen to someone tell me about their dream or vision, and it might not even be something I'm as interested in, but I know they are. So I want to make that connection point. So like with kids and family, that was one of the first lessons that I just thought of, or that I actually applied, that turned out to make a lot of sense in the end. And now I have great relationships with all my kids. Um, and I would do it with your wife as well if you're married. Listen to her dreams and her desires. Don't just blow them off. I'm just going to give you a heads up there. Whether or not it's always as important, I've learned this lesson, because here's another thing in sales. I asked my wife this: do you just need to talk to me about this, or do you want me to fix it? Because I'm a man and I want to fix things. But if you don't want me to fix it right now, you just need me to listen. Tell me. 100% I will listen. I may repeat it back to you just so I make sure I understand, but I will not fix it unless you ask me to. And that's a good business sales tag thing as well. You don't want to try and fix something they didn't give you the right, or you didn't earn the right to fix yet.
So you've had a lot of good principles in here. You're extremely accomplished. What's next? What is that next mountain peak you're trying to climb?
Um, for me, is transitioning and doing more with helping businesses and people grow and build a life they love living. Like my zone of genius is sales. What lights me up is helping people wake up to a life they want to do. So that would be more speaking, that would be more podcasts, that would be more. I'm playing around with writing a book. I tried to write a book before, but I wasn't ready to write it. It was one of those things. So I'm looking to write a book. I don't know if I really want to do courses, because I really like more the one-on-one, getting in the nitty-gritty with people and helping them. And most people don't finish courses. So transitioning more into that. On a personal level, my wife and I are looking into doing more real estate investment. We have a friend that does condos, so maybe getting a partnership in there. Finding other ways to make income flow, because again, having multiple streams of income is good. And then just doing what I want when I want, because I can go make money anytime I want to. I know that sounds cocky, but I'm good at sales. I could go, if I want to just make a bunch of money, I could just go make a bunch of sales. But I want to leave a legacy where people remember my name and know he cared about me more than just a paycheck, or more than just getting a dollar amount. He wanted to see the best in me, which in return flows money to you, because what you release comes back when you have the right intent.
I like that. So tell us then in a little bit more concrete way, like a milestone, throw it out there to the universe. This is what I want to accomplish. And then we do this we've done it with most of our guests, but not all of them. And then we say, look, when you reach that milestone, we want to invite you back on the podcast and have another episode. And basically, let's celebrate you accomplishing that milestone or whatever it is.
So the milestone for me would be to not be in corporate America anymore. My goal to do that is a 3-year plan. I read Vivid Vision. I actually have the book right now, Vivid Vision, where I'm reverse engineering how to get there. And to do that, I need to make a crap ton of money on my sales stuff, because I make really good money doing sales. So really a 3-year plan for me is to be completely out of corporate, doing my own. So doing public speaking, doing coaching, mastermind, whatever that looks like, which I've been working on writing it out. I don't have it like completely defined yet. I've been making that transition. Because yes, I know I can, but sometimes it's one of those working on your own self with the mental shift of, yeah, I can go and do sales and make a bunch of money for these corporations, but that doesn't give me wealth, that gives them wealth. I want to go and make a legacy for my family. So that's like a 3-year goal. If you want like a 10-year goal, I want to have 10 rental properties that are all giving me incomes coming in, so I can travel and do more stuff there, plus do the speaking, plus do masterminds, plus do stuff that I love doing anywhere I want in the world.
Love that. Love that you have that idea. 10 rental properties at varying sizes, or are these single family? Are they fourplexes? Are they 50 plexes? What are you hoping for?
I'm actually wanting like VRBO condos, the ones that you can rent out. We love Hawaii. So what my friend is doing right now is she has a condo in Hawaii that she rents out, and then she just uses every once in a while. I want to have multiple streams that way, because then I don't have to worry as much about getting one renter to pay the whole time. If you go to the right destination, the right place, and you have the control over it, Hawaii is a very good investment, especially in Kauai, possibly in Florida, and places that I know people are going to go to. That is a little bit different than your duplex Grant Cardone ideas. Now, I'm not against that. If the right deal comes along, I'm totally cool with a unit of 30 or more. So if I wanted to do like homes, I want it to be 30 or more, because that way I don't have to worry about 1 or 2 renters walking and covering stuff, because you have the capital to do it. But I want to be the silent investor. I want to find the right person that knows real estate way better than me, that I can invest into what they're doing, because I'm staying in my zone of genius. This is another thing I want people to realize. I know I could go and learn all this stuff on real estate. I don't have the want to do that. I want to find the right people to partner with to do that, so I can stay in my zone of genius and help who I'm supposed to help. But then we still keep making money and flowing, because again, you find out who is it that you can partner with that has a skill set that maybe you don't have, but that you can add to them and they can add to you. I'm only caveating that because I don't want to have to manage and run it. I want to be the silent part.
You're saying that you don't want to go fix the toilet or the leak or talk to the noisy neighbor or anything. You want to be completely away from all that, right?
Yeah, I want to be a private investor. I want to partner with
Okay.
someone that's already doing it. Or like with the condo thing, our friend already does it. Like she's good at getting it. She's good at the listing. She's good at getting it all rented out. We work together. She's able to invest and get more condos as well. It's a win-win. But again, I don't have the headache of having to do that. And I can do what I'm good at, which is helping people with sales, with waking up to a life they love living, with getting on podcasts, their shows, their speaking. You always, I do ascribe to Gary Vee's thought process of do what you're really good at. Now, I do think you should have an understanding. I won't invest in something that I don't at least understand and have a background in knowing about, but I don't have to be the main expert. When you're building wealth, and you can tell me if I'm wrong with this, I know that bringing the right people in to the place of what they're really good at is great. Like, do I do accounting for my business right now because it's small? Yes, but I know I'm going to hand that off because that's not what I want to spend my time doing. But I still need to understand my books and numbers and stuff there.
Right. Right. You got that right. Well, Joe, this has been an awesome podcast. Thank you very much. And when you get, in 3 years, when you're, exit, or even before, when you exit out that W-2 job, you completely on your own, I'm sure we'll still be in contact, but we'd love to have you come back and kind of have a celebratory podcast and talk about how, some of the key points and milestones that happened to get to that point. And I hope it happens much, much sooner than that, before, the 3 years. Scott, how would you wrap us up?
There's a lot of good principles here, guys. Value comes first, and what most people value is themselves over everything else. The way I've often heard it is the most valuable word in the English language to an individual is their own name. So just remember that as you are going out and doing your sales or even trying to connect with your kids. So Joe, we really appreciate it. Guys, if you'd like to connect with our guest, we will put all his links in the show notes down below. If you'd like to connect with Jason or I, we also have links in the show notes down below. And if you like today's episode, hit that subscribe button and drop us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. And last, remember that mastering your millions all starts with your mind and your team. Make sure they are the best. We will catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.